Hello everybody, and it's me, Static Source Developer, and this is going to be the first ever video on my channel and also in this series, which is web development, as you can tell by the title. And you're going to be expecting not just web development from me. In the future you're going to be expecting a whole lot of other development, so like from the languages of Java, which would be focused mostly on developing with kind of Android style on that. C Sharp, C++, but that's all to come later on. But just going to start with web, and in this video I'm going to be giving you a basic structure and a navigation menu in this video. A nice looking navigation menu, which is always a good thing to start off with in any website before you do anything else. So let's start by first of all indicating that this document is a HTML document. So the way we're going to do that is just simply that states it all there. Now I already have the index made and obviously the CSS file made, but there's obviously nothing in there yet. So in here, now after this, you're just going to create a bunch of tags. So the first tag you're going to do is the HTML tag. Now within this HTML tag, you're just going to create the head, and you're also going to create the body. Now you're not going to put much in the head tag. You're going to do a lot of stuff in the body, but in the head tag, first of all, we're going to state is a title, and you would also state the icon in the browser as well. So when you're on a website and it has that icon in the tab, you'd also state that in here, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to state the title in that tab. So we're just going to put homepage. That's all we're going to see at the top, and after that title we are going to link in this style sheet. So this is link in, and it's relevant to a style sheet, and the type is text and CSS. So it just states that it's CSS, and whatever is in the CSS, it will affect what's on the HTML page. And then the href is where the style sheet is, which the style sheet for me in this video is in the same folder as the index, which is always recommended to do, because if you have the style sheet in a completely different folder, which can be done, you just have to state like the directory that it's in here. But it's always recommended you have the style sheet where all your websites are, just to make it a whole lot easier for yourself. Now that's all you have to do, believe it or not, for the head. Now in the body is going to be the main components of what you're going to have on the site. So in this video, like I said, we're going to create the navigation menu. So the first thing we're going to do is create the nav tag. Now if you've been noticing that when I've been creating these tags, they've automatically been closed off. Now not all programs that you do HTML or CSS in, not all of them have this function. Brackets obviously has this, and Notepad++ does not have this feature. So there is a lot of software out there. There's loads if you look online, but Brackets is free, and that's what I'm using. It's free to use, so I recommend using Brackets for your first time, just so if you forget to close off a tag, with Brackets, you won't, because it will close it off for you. So within this nav tag, we're going to create an unordered list which will be all of our buttons. So we're just going to click an unordered tag. Now within this unordered tag we're going to create the lists. So just going to do li. Now within this li we're just going to do an a tag. Now in this a tag we're going to have an href, which is going to currently link to nothing because we have nothing to really send this button to, you know, when pressing it you have nowhere to send it to. Now here we're just going to put the text of whatever we want, so we'll put home or home page, it's up to you. Now brackets, you go to the end of this code. If you want to copy a piece of code like this list for example, go to the end and just click Ctrl D as many times as you want and it just copies it for you. It's very simple, it makes your life a lot easier. And we're just going to change these about, so home page, contact and login. That's all we've got so far. So if we go to the browser here and refresh, this is all we're going to have. Now I also want to state that brackets does come with a live preview feature, which isn't working for me because I'm using a portable version because this is not my computer and I can't install software on it, so I have to use a portable version. So, but if you download the brackets, the full version, which is free, like I said, if you just download that, you can literally just use the live preview, which is very handy because when you do changes, what will happen when you do changes is that as soon as you save, it automatically updates on the browser what changes you've done. It's a very nifty feature, but in this video I can't use that live feature, so I just have to resolve to just bringing out the browser. Oh, wasn't supposed to happen. Just bringing out the browser when I've made changes. So like I said, here this is all we've got. So it looks bland, it looks boring. I wasn't visited it at all. Never give it a rating. So what we're going to do here is we are going to style it. So this is where the style sheet comes into play now. So what we're first off going to do is we're going to change the body background. So we're going to get rid of that horrible white background to a nice colour, in my opinion. So yeah, actually no, we'll keep it as white for now, but that's how you would change the background, you know, background, and then you can use the user hex code or just write the colour that you want. But we're going to keep body in there. Now the navigation, now what we're going to do here is type nav, and within this nav, which you know is from here to there, that's everything. What we're going to do here is we're going to give this navigation menu a background. So the way we're going to do this is we have to create a block. We have to create, you know, an object, a block that we see. So the way you're going to do this is display. We're going to do an inline block. So I'm just going to do that. Now we're just going to give also this a background color, and let's just give that a color of that nice grey that I like, and let's just put color there. And that's because I didn't close that off the way I should have. Now this isn't going to look very, it's going to give it that nice background, and also we need to change the colour of the text, which we'll get to, and we have to get rid of these bullet points because, you know, with the list it automatically gives them, and with it being a link it also has the underline, which we can get rid of. Now this white space, waste of space, so the way you'd fix this, in the body tag what you're going to do is you're going to go margin and just put 0. That's it. And what that will do is then fill up that empty space around. Now, what we also want to do is have this, have this background for the navigation fit all the way across the screen. If you have it full screen or small, you want it to adjust. So the way you're going to do this is you're just going to right in here, width, if you can spell, and we're just going to do 100%. And what that should do is scale it completely, just like that. Now, what we're going to do now is change the colour of this text, get rid of the underline, change the font, and get rid of these bullet points, and obviously have the buttons going across. So how we're going to do this is, first of all, to change anything for the font, is we're just going to go nav, ul, li, and a. Now, where I get that from is completely logical. Nav, ul, li, a. That's how you get that. Now, obviously, whatever I write in here will change anything within this a tag. So, in here, we're just going to change the colour to white. And we're also going to get rid of that underline, because it's really annoying. Text decoration, and you're just going to state none. Now, we also really need to get rid of the bullet points. So the way you do this is, a lot of people do get confused with this because they put it in this part thinking that it'll do it, but it doesn't. The way you get rid of that bullet pointing is just do a new section, do nav ul, because the bullet pointing isn't part of the a tag, it's just part of ul. So you're just going to put in here list style type and then just do none, and that should get rid of, if we just go into here, it should get rid of those bullet points like so. We're going to change the size of that so we can kind of see it a bit better. So we're just going to go into here and do font size, just do 20 pixels. Should be a little bit bigger, not too big, but just a little bit bigger so we can see it. Now, there's two ways you can do this. You can state the font, where the font is changed. You can either do it in here or in here, but I'm just going to do it in here. So font family, and we're just going to have it as that for now. But what I will show you is bringing in your own fonts. Now, if you don't have any fonts installed on your computer and you can't do that, but you want to have a custom font on your site, there's another way you can import that, and I will show you that in a bit. But at the moment, we're just gonna use that for now, so that should change to something just a little bit nicer. And just to add an effect to it, what we're going to do is just write this again. No. But this time we're going to do a hover. So when we hover over this, so if we just do colour, now you can do more than colour, you can do whatever you want with hover. But just here, what we're going to do is on hover of any of these buttons, it changes aqua, so it just looks a little bit more interactive. So now we've got that sorted, and it doesn't look as bland as it did before. Still bland, but not as bland as it did before. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to basically just write the relevant kind of basic elements to make this navigation bar look a lot neater and obviously explain it along the way. So in the body, we're pretty much done with the body. If you want to add a background, that's up to you. We need to add a couple more things to navigation, like the nav tag, so let's just do that. Now we're going to add the position, which, you know, it's not going to do much change in the way it looks, but it will help when you have other elements on the screen. That's going to help. And when we do eventually put more elements on the page, you will see that it will make a difference, and I will also show that by changing the position. But that will be in a later video. So what we're also going to add in now is the padding, which there's no padding involved in this. We're going to do the text aligning, which is, I'm going to set that as center. So this is another good feature about brackets. You know, you've got a scroll down menu just in case you don't want to write it or you don't know what you need to find. But you know, that's the if you want it. So we're going to do that center, and really we could add a shadowing to this, but I don't really think that's relevant to this video because it's not really, it's basic, but it does give it a nice effect, and it is kind of basic, it is and it isn't. So I'm gonna add it in and explain how it works. So the thing is with box shadowing is that you need to like write it more than once because different browsers won't pick it up. So you have to kind of like state it for each browser, and I'll tell you what I mean in like right now. So I'll just write WebKit. So WebKit and then box shadow. Let's move out of the way so I can see. Now this is where it might get a little bit complicated, but let's just write it in. And 20 minus 2. Now this box shadowing, I'm actually, you know, I'm not writing this from myself. I'm actually looking at this box shadowing because I had it copied and pasted to like the box shadow from my other website. So I'm just looking, I've copied and pasted that box shadow. You know, I may as well just do that, and I'll just tell you what it kind of means. I just got that in a text document, but if I just paste that in there, and what this basically is, as you can see, I've kind of just repeated myself. Now you don't have to like write this, you can actually go online and have there's actually a generator that you can go to. That's how I've got this. So what this basically means, why you have to duplicate yourself, is because, like I said, not all browsers will pick up just box shadow. So you kind of have to declare it for every browser. Now I've only stated it for Firefox and Opera browser. Chrome picks up that, and Internet Explorer does. But Opera and Firefox, you have to kind of indicate that there's a box shadow in there. That's what that means. So this would be this part here, you know, this would your colour of what the shadow is, and then this is just like where the shadow's positioned, you know. So if I just show you the shadowing now, because the shadowing's done, if I just go into here, you know, the shadowing, yeah, so you'd have, now I can't remember what order this goes in, but it's like top, left, bottom, right, you know. So I can't remember which one's which. I think this one's down. I can't remember which order it goes in, but that's the way it's kind of structured like that. and obviously, like I said, this is your color of your of the you know the shadow, which is just a nice darkish, lightish grey. That's what that is. It just gives it a nice effect, and obviously we did the text align, which centered all of that. But that's still not horizontal. Like I said I was going to stay that as horizontal. So we're just going to do that. Stay that as horizontal. So for the nav, I think I've pretty much got what I need in there. So the nav ULI A, which we need to state another kind of style here. So nav li, we need to state this in here, and we need to display this as inline, and that needs to be put in there. That isn't going to do much change straight away, so if I just go into here, it's not going to do much difference. Well, it does. It puts it horizontal, but that's what that does. So, we probably need to give that some spacing. So instead of what people might do is just go like that and think that's going to do something. That isn't how it works. Now, obviously, you give it a little bit of space, but that's not how it works. There is a character that you can get, which makes, spacing an actual thing. But that's not how you do it officially anyway. The way you do it is through the style, and what you do in, like, the A part of the tag in here is you're going to state padding. So we're just going to give that padding of 10 pixels. So what should happen here is give that some spacing of 10 pixels on either side. So if I added, another logging button like that and refresh, it's still going to have that 10 pixel gap between each button. So that's how that works. So we've got a horizontal navigation bar with some box shadowing, and obviously on a hover effect it gives it that aqua, which is nice. It's still pretty basic, but what we had from the start, it doesn't look all that bad. Now what I'm going to show you, which you can go to by the way, is my website so far, and as you can see I've kind of done the similar kind of design here, just changed the font and added some icons there, and the box shadowing's a little bit different, but like I said, you can visit this site if you want to, and this is a more advanced kind of site because as you can see this navigation here is at the top, and when we bring it a little bit smaller, so if you have a smaller screen, it's going to stick the navigation right on the side, and if you're on a mobile device, it gives you this navigation kind of extra like navigation, which is obviously a lot more mobile friendly, because if you try to stick that on the mobile, you're going to have this stuck to the side and you won't be able to really see this. So, but like I said, this is going to be more advanced, CSS and HTML, more CSS than anything, because the HTML for that is really basic. It's more the CSS styling. And there's two ways you can really style this, by the way, and I've done it the CSS way, but you can also do it through JavaScript, jQuery. jQuery I'm using just for this, so when you press on that comes up, but like I said, that's to come later down into the series because we want to get the basics done. But yeah, from what we've done so far, we've got the navigation at the top. You can have that anywhere you want, but obviously traditionally you're going to have that at the top. You can have it at the bottom if you wanted to. It's really up to you. But what I'm going to show you, because I did say I was going to show you this, is importing your own fonts that you might not have in the system, or what a user who goes on your site might not have on their system. And that's adding a font that, you know, you want to add but you don't want to install on your system. Now, the way you do this is obviously you're going to go online. So if I just go onto DaFonts and just look for a font. So if I just look for a nice font, so if we just go into here and let's just go for the Keep Calm. Why not? Keep Calm. We're just going to download this and we're just going to open the folder and we're just going to extract it and we're just going to open it here. So we're just going to copy this to the root of where the site is here. So we've got that in there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to here into the style sheet. Now, recommend you do this really on top of everything so you know where they all are. So the way you're going to state this is at font face, which pretty much means, you know, you're bringing in a font from externally. So you're going to do font family, which this will state the name that you will use. So I'll tell you what. So this will state the name that you will use in the CSS to call it up. So let's just call this, you know, main. Doesn't matter what you call it, really doesn't matter. And then you're going to get the source. Now, you can import fonts from like Google, but if you want to import fonts from like a website where I've just downloaded a font from, this is how you do it. So you're going to do source URL, and then in these brackets, you're just going to get the name of the font. So I'm going to copy the name, and it's a TTF. So we're going to paste that in there and put .ttf. That's it. Now, the way you'd call that is you can pretty much just copy this and put it. Actually, no, we've already got it stated here. So if we just put main in here, what should happen is if I just go back to here, as you can see, I think, you know, it's changed the font there. Yeah, so that's the Keep Calm font. So that's how you would import a font, which, you know, is pretty easy if you think about it, to import a font. Now, depending on where you upload your site on, like, you know, on your server that you have, or, you know, if you just use a localhost, you know, just make sure that you either state the directory that the font's in, or just keep the font where the site is, where the CSS is, and you can just put the name of the font, which just makes your life a whole lot easier. So what I'm actually going to do here is going to copy this, and we're just going to paste it, and we're just going to rename this, because we're going to actually link this now. So we're just going to put in here index.html, and we're going to put about me in here. So if we just do about me in here, oh, just about me .html. Now, just to differentiate from both of these, what we're going to do out of this navigation is we're just going to just put some text in here. So There's multiple ways you can do this. You could just do it through a H1 tag or H2, which is header 1, header 2, header 3. Or you can just state your own tag. You can make your own tags and style them. So I'm just going to use a H1 tag. Well, actually, no, I'll just say H4 because it's already in. Like, it's already kind of built in. So let's just put in here home page, like so. So we've got home page there and we've got home page here. And now if we just, what we might need to do now is just delete that again and just copy that and paste it. And let's just put that as about me, about me, like so, and we're just gonna plop that in there. So we've got both of these, and in here we're just gonna put about me and about me. So we've got these in place, and they both use the same CSS because obviously they've both been, because it's just copied and it's still grabbing it from the same place. So if we just go on the site, just refresh, and we've messed something up already. We'll have to see what I've messed up. So we've got homepage, I press about me, it goes to about me. Now that text we obviously can't see because we're on a white background, so that's kind of clever. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to here, going to go to style, and we're going to go to, and I know why that's done that now. I just what did I use then? I used H4. That's what I used. I can't remember what I used then. H4, we're just going to do colour. Let's just go with that grey. Why not? Sorry if you can hear that thunder. But, you know, it's not going to hurt you, is it? So, did I save that or not? I did save that. Colour, H4, that should have changed. So let me try and find where that font is a minute, or that text should I say. What's body, homepage? It's there, right? So it's hidden under there. So that's why that's done that. So that's my bad there. That's me not really thinking straight. That. What we're going to do here is go into style. Going to give that a margin of nothing, because that's going to be used in later references as well. And it gets rid of that. Now, just for now, it's not what you'd really do, but it should work, is we're just going to put a bunch of BR tags, which is just like next line. We're just going to do that for now, so we can pretty much just see. As you can see there, it's right there. But you would really do that in, you'd rather put that H4 tag in like an area on the page, so you would create a new area. But I'm just trying to show you that the navigation, so if we just copy those, just for now, just to show you, so we can see it. So if we just refresh, go to about me, as you can tell, it does change, and does, if you wanted to as well, because a lot of pages do this, is when you press on, like if you're on the about me page, then you probably still have that as highlighted. So the way you would really do that is, if I just go to, say the way you do that, you would have to, you can't really do that because it's more of the advanced, but that I will show you that. But as you can see by this, you know, just change, and we've got, I don't really like the font, but that was just to show you that you can add in your own font. But this video, you know, I've kind of shown you how to make the navigation, and in the next video I will show you how to put in like instead of using BR tags to like move things, actually put them in its own area on the page, so you can just like making a layout as such, you know, laying it out in a way so you can just, you know, have different sections on the page. So you'd have, you know, a section of the page about, you know, the site, and then have a section about where you might just have a row of pictures. You know, you would have to make rows and sections. Now, there's loads of ways of doing that. People do that via tables, or they actually just make new divs, which, you know, I'll do talk about divs and introduce divs, because you're going to be using quite a lot of divs in making websites, because when it comes to making websites, you have to, a lot of elements have to be separated in a way where a lot of things can be separated via divs and spacing, because when you create a div, you're creating an object, and then within that div, you know, within that div tag, like same with the navigation, whatever we put in this navigation is only in the navigation. So anything outside this navigation, it doesn't mess with this. That's why when we put this h4 tag in, it went under the nav, because we never stated the h4 tag to be moved from the top, because by default everything's just put to the top side downwards. So, you know, you need to style the div tags, style the padding, style the margin, so you can make a perfect box. But yeah, that's going to be in like the next video. So in this video, that's all I'm going to show you for now. So if this video's not been, you know, good, and I've been pausing much, you know, I should really be getting confident in really commentating better, but it's my first video, and I will get better at commentating and not stuttering and taking long pauses and stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, that's all I'm going to show you today, and if you think that, you know, I'm going the right way in making these videos, then please leave a comment. I know there'll probably be a little bit of hate saying, you know, be better and stuff like that, but I'm expecting that. But people who do watch this, I want, you know, feedback on this, so I can kind of look back and see what I can improve on, because I really want to get this channel to a good level, because I kind of really want to get into making videos and making tutorials and kind of teaching you basics and advanced kind of development skills, because, you know, where we're going now, it's, you know, where isn't technology and, you know, website making or making programs for phones or making applications on the computer or anything like that. You know, I want to be able to bring you that content. So yeah, that's why I've made this channel, and yeah, that's pretty much why. But like I said, I will be getting better at making videos, and I just hope that you guys who follow me and support me, you know, you'll be like a huge help, of course, because having people watching and, you know, all that, it helps me grow my channel and gets more people to watch. So I'm just hoping that this channel actually gets somewhere. And I want to be able to look back at this video and just think to myself what a noob I was when I started this, because that will be a huge shock to me when I come back and look at my first videos and just look how really bad I was at this and what mistakes I probably did. So yeah, I'm going to go now, and peace.